The Scottish Rite of the Mother jurisdiction, on the other hand, retained, reinforced, and expanded both goals, societal and spiritual. Hence, we pursue in daily living the virtues of morality, charity, and patriotism. But we also search for an ultimate mystic union with the deity, and for that purpose we reveal and apply in our degrees from the 4th to the 33rd the ancient wisdom, esoteric knowledge that comes to us over long, drifting centuries. Our Scottish Rite, therefore, delves deeply into philosophy and metaphysics, but we square this with the miracles of modern science. For example, in my book, Emergence of the Mystical, I correlate our Scottish Rite mission and modern science, and I show that they are compatible companions. Throughout all history, there have been examples of extraordinary purposes of the mind. These have included and been repeated in different forms, metaphors that derive from what we know as wisdom of the ancients. The powers, forces, and energies can be discovered if we search deeply enough. They were to be found in all parts of the world, such as the mysteries of Isis and Osiris in Egypt, the Mithraic mysteries of the Persians, the Orphic and Bacchic and later Eleusinian mysteries of Greece, the mysteries of Samothrace and Chaldea, the mysteries of India, the Druidical mysteries, the Gothic and Scandinavian mysteries, and others. The object of these mysteries was not merely to teach morality. They developed the whole man and permitted him to attain his total potential. As Albert Pike said, had moral truths alone been taught the initiates, the mysteries could never have deserved and received the magnificent eulogies of the most enlightened men of antiquity, of Pindar, Plutarch, Isochrates, Diodorus, Plato, Euripides, Socrates, Aristophanes, Cicero, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, and others. These were philosophers or historians devoted to the investigation of truth. All the sciences were taught there. In the cities of the ancient world, there were temples for public worship in which philosophers and mystics taught groups what were known as the lesser and greater mysteries. They imparted to their initiates the secret wisdom in sacred dramas and communications to those admitted as keys to wisdom for the doctrine of the one God, the resurrection of the eternal life, the dignity of the human soul, and union with the deity as reflected in the splendor of the universe. They taught the tremendous possibilities of the power of the will and reawakened spiritual strength so initiates would think positively, use their faculties with confidence and intelligence, improve their mental endowments, develop their will to control events, attitudes, and health, understand the possibilities of intuition, hypnotism, and the subconscious, be patient when confronted with adversity, courageous in the face of danger, resist temptation, and live worthily so as to gain the commendation of the deity. The ancient mysteries later fell into a perverted decline and were replaced with the ceremonial sorcery, incantations in lieu of divine magic. Also were filled with indescribable practices in the orgies of Bacchus. Some of the devout, few, succeeded in preserving from oblivion the secret doctrines. But more often along the line, the keys to esoteric knowledge were thrown over the hedge of time. Few aspects of mystic power are more fascinating or buried more deeply in esoteric teachings and symbols. Thus, it was accessible only to selected candidates who had gone through the fires of initiation and vows of secrecy. Certainly, a correct reception requires more than a confused mind. May I distinguish what I call powers of the mind from ceremonial magic, whether white or black, that was vain and wicked, if not actually a kind of pious fraud. Those we wholeheartedly disapprove. The object of our inquiry rests upon far more solid ground. There are examples that prove to a point of demonstration the enormous powers of the mind. William James was the father of modern psychological science. At one time, he was professor of anatomy, psychology, and philosophy at Harvard University, combining body, mind, and soul. One of this country's most profound thinkers. There was an eminent psychologist, popular writer named Seabury, who mentioned in his book, How to Live with Yourself, that as a boy, he sat upon the knee of William James, who was a good friend of his father. He remembered well, William James said that as a young man, he had a serious heart condition that predicted an early death. But he read a book which told of the seemingly magical powers of the will for control of the body. And so he determined to train his will to direct improvement of his heart condition. Every night, before going to sleep, he projected his will to visualize a healthy heart for the following day. He suggested this in repeating appropriate words. The results were remarkable. He felt he owed his life to that simple advice which worked so miraculously. You might try tapping your similar mystic powers, such as your capabilities of intuition. The modern Scottish rite of the mother jurisdiction has found the keys to esoteric knowledge, and therefore it is the direct, true descendant and the survivor of the ancient mysteries. We pursue, preserve, and teach the ancient wisdom and esoteric knowledge. That is why our house of the temple is replete and resplendent with artistic ornaments and priceless symbols. They reflect our mission to instruct men in the real science of being and to lead them up the stairway to perfection, to a realization of the true brotherhood of man and the fatherhood of God.